The note burned in my pocket like a live coal, its edges sharp against my thigh as I stood among strangers, their laughter echoing through the vineyard. I hadn't even read it yet, but its presence felt like a shout in a silent room, pulling my eyes to the groom at the altar. He was marrying my cousin, and I was the only gay guy here, so I thought. My name is Elias Torres, a 27-year-old graphic designer from Oakland, and I'd driven 3 hours to Napa Valley for my cousin Sophia's wedding. I didn't expect much from the day, just family small talk, free wine, and the usual pitying glances from relatives who still whispered about my lifestyle. But when I slipped my hand into my pocket to fidget with my phone during the ceremony, my fingers brushed against a folded piece of paper that hadn't been there before. I froze, my heart thudding. Someone had placed it there, and the only person who'd been close enough was the groom himself. The vineyard was breathtaking, rows of grapevines stretching into the horizon under a sky painted in hues of amber and violet. Sophia, radiant in her lace gown, stood under a wooden arch, her smile wide as she gazed at her fiancé, Caleb Whitaker. Caleb was everything you'd expect from a small-town success story, tall, broad-shouldered, with hazel eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 thoughts. He'd grown up in nearby Sonoma, a former high school quarterback turned real estate agent, and now he was about to become family. But as the officiant droned on about love and commitment, Caleb's eyes kept darting to me, quick and fleeting, like he was afraid I'd vanish. I shifted in my seat, the note crinkling under my touch. I didn't dare pull it out, not here. Not now. With Aunt Rose's eagle eyes 2 rows away and my mom whispering about how I should find someone nice, like Sophia had. But curiosity gnawed at me. Why would Caleb, a man I'd barely spoken to, slip me a note? We'd met only twice before, once at a family barbecue where he'd been charming but distant, and again last night at the rehearsal dinner, where he'd lingered near me at the buffet, asking about my job with an intensity that felt off. The ceremony ended with cheers and a shower of rose petals. Guests spilled onto the lawn for cocktails, and I found myself alone near the bar, the note still untouched. I glanced at Caleb, now posing for photos with Sophia, his arm around her waist. He looked perfect, too perfect, like a magazine ad for happiness. But when his eyes met mine again, there was something raw in them, something that made my stomach twist. I couldn't take it anymore. Slipping behind a cluster of oak barrels, I pulled out the note. My hands trembled as I unfolded it, revealing neat, slanted handwriting. Meet me at the old barn behind the vineyard at 9 p.m. Don't tell anyone. See. My breath caught. This wasn't a casual request. It was a secret, a risk, and it set my pulse racing with both fear and something I didn't want to name. The reception was in full swing by the time I made my way to the dance floor, trying to act normal. Sophia pulled me into a hug, her perfume sweet and floral. "Elias, you look so handsome," she gushed, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I forced a smile, but my eyes kept drifting to Caleb, who was laughing with his groomsmen. Every time he glanced my way, it felt like a current running through me, electric and dangerous. As the sun dipped below the hills, I mingled with cousins and uncles, dodging questions about my love life. My best friend, Maya, who'd tagged along for moral support, noticed my distraction. "You okay, Eli?" she asked, sipping her Chardonnay. I nodded, but the note in my pocket felt heavier with every passing minute. What did Caleb want? Was this some kind of mistake? Or worse, a setup? I'd heard stories of guys like me being lured into traps, especially in small towns where acceptance wasn't guaranteed. By 8:45, my nerves were frayed. The barn was a 10-minute walk from the main venue, hidden behind a grove of olive trees. I told Maya I was stepping out for air and slipped away, my polished shoes sinking into the soft earth. The night was cool, the stars sharp above, and the distant hum of music faded as I approached the barn. Its weathered red walls loomed in the moonlight, and my heart pounded as I pushed open the creaky door. Caleb was already there, leaning against a hay bale, his tie loosened and his jacket draped over his arm. In the dim light, he looked less like the polished groom and more like a man unraveling. "You came," he said, his voice low, almost a whisper. His eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment, I forgot how to breathe. "Why am I here, Caleb?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. I held up the note, my hand steady despite the chaos in my chest. "What's this about?" He stepped closer, and I noticed the tremor in his hands. I needed to talk to you. Alone." His words were careful, but his gaze was anything but. It was intense, searching, and it sent a shiver down my spine. "Talk about what?" I pressed, my voice dropping to match his. "You're marrying my cousin. What could you possibly need to say to me?" He swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. "Elias, I'm not who you think I am. I'm not who anyone thinks I am." The air in the barn felt thick, charged with something unspoken. I wanted to run, to laugh it off, to pretend this wasn't happening. But his words, his eyes, the way he stood so close I could smell his cologne, they held me in place. And then he said the one thing I never expected. "I've been watching you all day. Because you're the only one here who might understand." The barn's silence was deafening, broken only by the faint creak of wood settling in the cool night air. Caleb's words hung between us, heavy with meaning I wasn't ready to unpack. "Understand what?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, afraid of the answer. He paced a few steps, his polished shoes scuffing the dusty floor. "I've been lying to everyone, Elias. To Sophia, to my family, to myself." He stopped, turning to face me, his hazel eyes catching the moonlight streaming through a cracked window. "I'm not straight. I never have been." The confession hit me like a punch. I stumbled back, my shoulder brushing against a rusted pitchfork leaning against the wall. "You're what?" I managed, my mind racing. This was Sophia's groom, the man who'd just vowed to love her forever in front of 200 people. And now he was standing here, in a barn, telling me he was gay. "I know how it sounds," Caleb said quickly, his hands raised as if to stop me from bolting. "I didn't plan this. I thought I could bury it, live the life everyone expected. Marry Sophia, build a family, be normal." He spat the word like it was poison. "But then I saw you at the rehearsal dinner, and it was like seeing a mirror for the first time." I laughed, sharp and bitter, because what else could I do? A mirror? "Caleb, I'm out. I've been out since I was 19. I've dealt with the whispers, the looks, the fights with my family. You don't get to just drop this on me and expect me to hat. Be your confidant, your savior." "No," he said, his voice cracking. "I don't know what I'm asking. Okay. I couldn't keep pretending. Not tonight. Not with you here." I crossed my arms, trying to anchor myself against the tidal wave of emotions: anger, pity, and something dangerously close to empathy. "Why me?" I asked. "Why not tell Sophia? Or your best man? Why sneak a note into my pocket?" Caleb ran a hand through his hair, musing the perfect waves. "Because you're the only one who'd get it. You're like me, Elias. You know what it's like to hide, to feel like you're suffocating under everyone's expectations." "I'm not like you," I snapped, though the words felt hollow. I'd spent years hiding before I came out, lying to friends, to myself, pretending to be someone I wasn't. But I'd fought for my truth. Caleb hadn't. He'd chosen Sophia, chosen this wedding, chosen a lie. And yet, the raw pain in his eyes was achingly familiar. He stepped closer, close enough that I could see the faint stubble on his jaw, the way his lips trembled. "I'm not asking you to fix me," he said. "I just needed to say it out loud. To someone. Before I lose myself completely." I wanted to hate him. I wanted to storm out, tell Sophia, blow up his perfect facade. But I couldn't move. His vulnerability pinned me in place. And for a moment, I saw the boy he must have been scared. Alone, trapped in a small town where being different wasn't an option. "What do you want from me, Caleb?" I asked, softer now, my anger giving way to exhaustion. "I don't know," he admitted, his voice breaking. I saw you laughing with your friend. So free. So you. And I envied it. I've never had that. And tonight, when I saw you during the ceremony, I couldn't stop thinking about what it would be like to be honest. Just once." The barn door creaked, and we both froze. Footsteps crunched on the gravel outside, and my heart leapt into my throat. "Caleb." A voice called Sophia's voice, bright and searching. "Are you out here?" Panic flashed across Caleb's face. He grabbed my arm, his grip tight. "Don't tell her," he whispered, his eyes pleading. "Please, Elias." "Not yet." I yanked my arm free, my mind a whirlwind. "I'm not your accomplice," I hissed, but my voice lacked conviction. Sophia's footsteps grew closer, and I ducked behind a stack of hay bales, my pulse hammering. Caleb straightened, smoothing his tie as if nothing had happened, and stepped toward the door. "There you are," Sophia said, her silhouette framed in the doorway. "Everyone's looking for you. The cake cutting's about to start." "Yeah, sorry," Caleb said, his voice steady now, a perfect mask. "Just needed a breather. I'll be right there." As Sophia's laughter faded, I stayed hidden, my breath shallow. Caleb's confession echoed in my mind, a secret I hadn't asked for but now carried. I slipped out of the barn, the note crumpled in my fist, and rejoined the reception, my smile a fragile facade. Maya caught my eye, her brow furrowing, but I waved her off. I needed to think, to figure out what to do with this truth that wasn't mine to hold. The rest of the night passed in a blur. Speeches, toasts, the clinking of glasses. Caleb played his part flawlessly, twirling Sophia on the dance floor, his laughter loud and bright. But every time our eyes met, I saw the truth beneath the act, and it tore at me. I was angry at him, at myself, at the unfairness of it all. But beneath the anger was something else, something I didn't want to name, a pull, a connection, a dangerous spark. As the guests began to leave, I stood by the vineyard's edge, the night air cool against my skin. Caleb's note was still in my pocket, a silent accusation. I could destroy it, pretend this never happened. Or I could confront him, force him to face his truth. But what would that do to Sophia? To me? I didn't have answers. All I had was the weight of his secret and the memory of his eyes, searching mine for something I wasn't sure I could give. The vineyard's lights twinkled like stars fallen to earth, but I felt like I was drowning in the dark. Caleb's confession had cracked something open inside me, a Pandora's box of questions I didn't want to face. What did I owe Heimer Sophia, for that matter? I found Maya by the dessert table, her plate piled high with chocolate truffles. "Okay, spill," she said, narrowing her eyes. "You've been weird all night. Did Aunt Rosa try to set you up with her accountant again?" I forced a laugh. but it sounded brittle. Just family drama, I said, dodging her gaze. Maya knew me too well, and I wasn't ready to tell her about Caleb. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I excused myself and wandered to the edge of the reception, where the vineyard gave way to a quiet meadow. The note was still in my pocket, its words seared into my mind. Meet me. Don't tell anyone. It wasn't just a request, it was a plea, and it was tearing me apart. Sophia found me there, her gown glowing in the moonlight. Elias, you're hiding, she teased, nudging my shoulder. Her joy was infectious, but it only deepened my guilt. She deserved better than a groom carrying a secret this big. You okay? She asked, her smile softening. You seem off. I'm fine, I lied, my throat tight. Just tired. Long drive. She studied me, her dark eyes searching. You'd tell me if something was wrong, right? We're family. The words stung. Family. I nodded, unable to meet her gaze. Yeah, soft. Always. She hugged me, then darted back to the dance floor, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I pulled out the note again, staring at Caleb's handwriting. The barn meeting had been a moment of raw honesty. But what now? Did he expect me to keep his secret forever? To be his silent ally while he built a life with my cousin? I didn't have long to dwell. A shadow moved in the darkness, and Caleb appeared, his silhouette sharp against the vineyard's glow. You didn't tell her, he said, his voice low but relieved. Don't thank me yet, I snapped, shoving the note back in my pocket. I haven't decided what to do. He flinched, but didn't back away. I know I'm asking a lot. I don't know how to do this. Elias. I've spent my whole life pretending. In high school, I was the star athlete, the guy everyone looked up to. I couldn't be me. And now, with Sophia, stop. I cut him off, my voice sharp. Don't make excuses. You chose this. You chose her. I love her, he said, and the words sounded genuine, which only made it worse. I do. But it's not. It's not the whole truth. I thought I could make it work, that I could be what she needs. But seeing you, knowing you're out, living your truth, it's killing me. His honesty disarmed me, and I hated it. I wanted to stay angry, to keep the wall between us, but his pain was a mirror to my own past. I'd been there, trapped in a cage of my own making, until I'd clawed my way out. But I'd had no one depending on me. Caleb had Sophia, a wedding, a future. What do you want from me? I asked again, my voice softer now. You can't just drop this and expect me to have the answers. I don't know, he admitted, his eyes glistening. Maybe I just needed to know someone else could carry this with me, even for a little while. The vulnerability in his voice cracked something in me. I stepped closer, close enough to see the tension in his jaw, the way his hands clenched at his sides. You can't keep living like this, I said. It's not fair to you. Or to Sophia. I know, he whispered. But I don't know how to stop. Before I could respond, a shout broke the silence. Sophia's brother, Miguel, calling for Caleb. The spell shattered, and Caleb stepped back, his mask slipping back into place. I have to go, he said, his voice steady now. Please, Elias. Don't say anything. Not yet. He disappeared into the crowd, leaving me alone with the weight of his truth. I wandered back to the reception, my mind a tangle of emotions. Maya was dancing with a groomsman, her laughter a stark contrast to the storm inside me. I wanted to tell her, to unburden myself, But Caleb's plea held me back. Not yet. As the night wound down, I watched Caleb and Sophia drive off in a vintage convertible, tin cans rattling behind them. The crowd cheered, but I felt hollow. The note was still in my pocket, a secret I hadn't asked for but couldn't ignore. I drove back to my hotel, the Napa Hills blurring past, and lay awake, replaying Caleb's words. He was drowning, and somehow, I'd become his lifeline. The hotel room was too quiet. The hum of the air conditioner no match for the chaos in my head. I sat on the edge of the bed, Caleb's notes spread out on the nightstand like a confession I couldn't unsee. I'd always prided myself on my honesty, on living authentically, but now I was complicit in a lie that could shatter my cousin's world. Morning came too soon, the Napa sun streaming through the curtains. I met Maya for breakfast at a diner down the road, the smell of coffee and bacon grounding me. She was relentless, sensing my unease. "Eli, you look like you saw a ghost," she said, stabbing a pancake with her fork. "What's going on?" I hesitated, the truth clawing at my throat. "It's complicated," I said finally. "Family stuff." She raised an eyebrow but didn't push. "You know I'm here, right? Whatever it is." I nodded, grateful but silent. After breakfast, I drove to a nearby park, needing space to think. The vineyard's beauty felt distant now, replaced by the weight of Caleb's secret. I sat on a bench overlooking a pond, the note in my hand. I could burn it, forget it, let Caleb figure out his own mess. But the memory of his eyes, desperate and searching, wouldn't let me go. My phone buzzed a text from Sophia, a photo of her and Caleb at their honeymoon suite. All smiles. "Thanks for coming, Eli. Love you." My stomach twisted. She was happy, oblivious, and I was holding a grenade that could destroy it all. I spent the day wandering Napa, avoiding calls from my mom and aunts. By evening, I was back at the vineyard, helping clean up leftover decorations. Sophia's parents were there, bustling with post-wedding energy, but my mind was elsewhere. I kept replaying Caleb's words, "I'm not who anyone thinks I am." What did that mean for him? For Sophia? For me? That night, I couldn't sleep. I drove to a bar in downtown Napa, hoping a drink would quiet my thoughts. The place was packed, locals and tourists mingling under neon lights. I was nursing a whiskey when someone slid onto the stool next to me. I glanced over and froze. It was Caleb. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice low. He was supposed to be on his honeymoon, not in a bar looking like he hadn't slept. "I couldn't stay away," he said, his voice rough. He ordered a beer, his hands fidgeting with the coaster. "Sophia's asleep at the hotel." I told her I needed to clear my head. "You're risking everything," I said, my anger flaring. "What if someone sees you?" "I know," he said, his eyes meeting mine. "But I needed to see you." The words hit me hard, stirring something I didn't want to feel. "Caleb, this isn't a game. You can't just show up and expect me to fix this." "I'm not asking you to fix it," he said, leaning closer. I can't stop thinking about you. About what you said in the barn. About being honest." His words were a spark in dry grass, dangerous and impossible to ignore. I wanted to push him away, to tell him to go back to Sophia, but the raw need in his voice held me captive. "You're married," I said, my voice shaking. "You made a choice." "I know," he whispered, his hand brushing mine on the bar. It was a fleeting touch, but it sent a jolt through me. But what if it was the wrong one? I pulled my hand back, my heart pounding. "Don't do this," I said. "Not to me. Not to her." He looked away, his jaw tight. I'm sorry, he said finally. I don't know how to be me and not hurt her. The bar's noise faded, and for a moment, it was just us. Two men caught in a truth too big to handle. I wanted to hate him, but all I felt was an aching pull, a connection I couldn't deny. I stood, tossing cash on the bar. Figure it out, Caleb, I said. But don't drag me into it. I walked out, the night air cold against my skin. But as I drove back to the hotel, his words echoed in my mind, and I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The drive back to Oakland was a blur, the highway stretching endlessly before me. Caleb's words clung to me like damp clothes, heavy and uncomfortable. I told him to figure it out, but I was the one unraveling, caught between loyalty to Sophia and a dangerous empathy for a man I barely knew. Back home, my apartment felt too small, the walls closing in as I replayed the weekend. I threw myself into work, sketching logos for a new client, but my mind kept drifting to Caleb's touch in the bar, the way his eyes had pleaded for understanding. I hated how it made me feel alive, wanted, complicit. A week passed, and I thought I'd escaped the chaos. Then my phone rang. Sophia, her voice bright but strained. Eli, can you come over? I need to talk. My heart sank. Had Caleb told her? Had someone seen us at the bar? I drove to their new home in Sonoma, a charming bungalow with a rose garden out front. Sophia greeted me with a hug, but her eyes were red, her smile forced. What's wrong? I asked, bracing myself. She led me to the kitchen, where coffee was brewing. It's Caleb, she said, her voice trembling. He's been distant since the wedding. I thought it was just stress, but he's barely touched me. Eli. He's always out late, saying he's working, but I don't know. Guilt twisted in my gut. I knew where he'd been that night at the bar, and I hadn't told her. Have you talked to him? I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside. I tried, she said, tears spilling over. He says he's fine, but I can feel it. Something's wrong. You're good at reading people, Eli. Did you notice anything at the wedding? I froze, the note burning a hole in my memory. He seemed nervous, I said carefully. But weddings are stressful, right? She nodded, but her eyes searched mine, and I wondered if she sensed my lie. I wanted to tell her everything, to rip off the bandage, but Caleb's plea not yet echoed in my mind. I hugged her, promising to check in, and left, my chest tight with guilt. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. It's Caleb. Can we talk? I'm in Oakland. My heart raced. How did he get my number? Why was he here? Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet at a quiet coffee shop near my place. He was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth, his wedding ring glinting under the dim lights. Thanks for coming, he said, his voice low. I didn't know who else to turn to. You shouldn't be here, I said, sliding into the booth. Sophia's worried. She knows something's up. His face crumpled. I know. I'm trying to be what she needs, but it's killing me. Elias. Every day, I feel like I'm lying to her face. Then tell her, I said, my voice sharp. You can't keep doing this to her. Or to yourself. I can't, he said, his voice breaking. If I tell her, I lose everything. My family, my friends, my whole life. You don't know what it's like in Sonoma. People talk. They judge. I know exactly what it's like. I snapped. I grew up in a place like that. But I chose to be honest. even when it hurt. You're not just hurting yourself, Caleb. You're hurting her. He looked at me, his eyes wet. I don't want to hurt her. I love her. But I think I'm falling for you. The words hit like a freight train. I stared at him, my mouth dry, my heart pounding. Don't say that, I whispered. You don't even know me. I know enough, he said, leaning forward. I know you're brave. You're real. You're everything I wish I could be. I stood, my chair scraping against the floor. I'm not your escape, Caleb. Figure out who you are before you drag me into this. I walked out, my hands shaking, but his words followed me home. Falling for me. It was impossible, reckless, wrong. But as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't deny the spark I'd felt, the dangerous pull of his honesty. I was in too deep, and I didn't know how to get out. Days bled into weeks, and I tried to bury myself in routine work, gym, dinners with Maya. But Caleb's confession haunted me, a ghost I couldn't shake. I'd ignored his texts, blocked his number, but the memory of his voice, I think I'm falling for you, kept me awake at night. Sophia called again, her voice quieter now, laced with fear. He's gone, Eli, she said. Caleb left 2 days ago. No note, no explanation. Just gone. My heart stopped. What do you mean, gone? He packed a bag and left. I thought maybe he was with you, since you two talked at the wedding. Guilt crashed over me like a wave. He's not with me, I said, my voice hollow. I haven't seen him since the wedding. It was a half-truth, and it burned my tongue. I promised to help her look, but as I hung up, panic set in. Where was he? Had he finally broken under the weight of his secret? I unblocked his number and sent a text. Where are you? Sophia's freaking out. No response. I spent the day calling his friends, his coworkers, anyone I could think of. Nothing. By evening, I was driving back to Sonoma, my mind racing with worst-case scenarios. I stopped at the vineyard where the wedding had been, half hoping to find him in the barn, but it was empty, the hay bales untouched. Desperate, I drove to the bar where we'd met that night in Napa. The bartender recognized me. Your friend was here last night, he said. Looked rough. Said something about needing to start over. My stomach dropped. Start over? Was he running? From Sophia? From himself? From me? I thanked the bartender and drove to the bungalow, where Sophia was waiting, her face pale. Anything? She asked. I shook my head, hating myself for the lie. I'll keep looking, I promised. That night, I got a text from Caleb. I'm at the pier in San Francisco. I need to see you. Relief and anger surged through me. I drove to the city, the Golden Gate Bridge looming in the distance as I parked near the pier. Caleb was there, sitting on a bench, staring at the bay. His suit was rumpled, his eyes hollow. You can't just disappear, I said, my voice shaking. Sophia's a mess. What are you doing? I couldn't stay, he said, his voice barely audible. Every day with her felt like a lie. I thought I could do it, but I can't. Then tell her, I said, my frustration boiling over. Stop running and face it. I will, he said, looking at me. But first, I needed to see you. To know if this is real. He reached for my hand, and I let him, my resolve crumbling. His touch was warm, grounding, and for a moment, I let myself feel its spark, the possibility. But then I pulled away. This isn't about us, I said. It's about you being honest. With her. With yourself. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. I know. I'm going to tell her. Tomorrow. I needed you to know how I feel. I wanted to scream, to kiss him, to run. Instead, I sat beside him, the bay's waves lapping against the pier. We didn't speak, but the silence was heavy with everything unsaid. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but I knew nothing would be the same. The next morning, I drove Caleb back to Sonoma. He was silent, his hands clasped tightly in his lap, the weight of what he was about to do etched into every line of his face. I wanted to comfort him, to tell him it would be okay, but I didn't know if it would. Truth had a way of breaking things before it could heal them. We pulled up to the bungalow, where Sophia was waiting on the porch, her arms crossed. She ran to Caleb as he stepped out of the car, her face a mix of relief and anger. Where were you? She demanded, tears in her eyes. I thought you were hurt. Or, I'm sorry, Caleb said, his voice steady but soft. I need to talk to you. Alone. Sophia glanced at me, confused, but nodded. I stayed in the car, my hands gripping the steering wheel as they went inside. Minutes stretched into an hour, and I imagined the conversation unfolding his confession, her heartbreak, the unraveling of their future. When the door finally opened, Sophia emerged, her face streaked with tears. She saw me and walked over, her steps heavy. He told me, she said, her voice breaking. He's gay, Eli. He's been lying to me this whole time. I reached for her, but she pulled away. Did you know? She asked, her eyes searching mine. I swallowed hard. Not at first, I said. He told me at the wedding. I didn't know what to do. She nodded, her lips trembling. I don't blame you, she said finally. But I need time. She walked back inside, and Caleb came out, his eyes red but resolute. She's letting me stay until I find a place, he said. She's stronger than I deserve. I nodded, my throat tight. What now? I don't know, he said. But I'm done hiding. I want to be honest. Elias. With her. With myself. With you. His words stirred something in me, but I pushed it down. You need to figure yourself out first, I said. I can't be your reason. He nodded, a sad smile on his lips. I know. But I hope, maybe someday. I drove away, leaving him standing in the driveway, the note still in my pocket. Months passed, and Sophia healed, leaning on family and friends. Caleb moved to San Francisco, started therapy, began living openly. We kept in touch, tentative at first, then easier, our conversations light but laced with possibility. One day, he invited me to a pride event in the city. I hesitated, then went. He was there, vibrant and free, a rainbow flag draped over his shoulders. When he saw me, his smile was brighter than the Napa sun. We walked together, the crowd buzzing around us, and for the first time, I let myself feel the spark without guilt. The note was gone now, tucked away in a drawer, a relic of a moment that changed everything. Caleb wasn't mine. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But as we stood together, watching the parade, I knew we'd both found something worth fighting for, the courage to be ourselves, no matter the cost.